Welcome to the Workshop Therapy Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew, and joining me today is Rebecca Kemmer. Workshop leader.
Workshop
right?
leader, yeah.
Workshop leader of Garvald,
Yep.
Edinburgh in Bonnie, Scotland.
Funny, yes.
It's not Bonnie right now because of the still gray and gloomy from winter holdovers, right? Or are you getting nice weather and sunny now?
Oh, do you know what? Easter Sunday, we had snow, which is really unusual. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, it was 18 degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
And then today, it's back to being grey and wet, and we just don't know what's happening. This is just Scottish weather doing its thing, keeping us on our toes.
Yeah, for American listeners, 18 Celsius is about 66 degrees, I think, 65 degrees, somewhere around there Fahrenheit. So pleasant enough, but I still feel jealous though. You said snow is unexpected. I literally still have 2 feet of snow out in my yard currently.
Wow. Okay.
It's starting to make me bitter at this point.
Right, okay.
But anyway, welcome to the show. Do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah.
Give everybody kind of the rundown of who you are and kind of what your job is, and then we'll kind of dig into what you do at Garvald.
Yeah. So my name's Rebecca Kemmer. I'm workshop leader, at Garvald, Edinburgh in the joinery workshop. We're an organisation that supports adults with learning disabilities in various craft, arts and food opportunities. And I've been here 14 years and I love my job.
Yeah, it's good. If you're going to be there for 14 years, you better enjoy it at least a little bit, I suppose.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So for those of us outside or North America, a joinery workshop is typically more focused on like cabinetry and furniture construction, right?
So the workshop was named before I came into it. We've just kind of held on to it for nostalgic reasons. We're basically a woodwork workshop, and the projects that we do are really varied based on the abilities of the people that we're working with. So we can make like little things from tea light holders and breadboards up to like fine joint work, dovetails, and making chairs and coffee tables. We're making a wardrobe at the moment. So just whatever ability and materials and opportunities. Those are our restrictions.
Oh, okay. So Garvald, you said in the pre-show, is kind of an overarching organization for helping adults with intellectual disabilities, and so we're thinking things like Down syndrome, for example, autism, cerebral palsy. Is that?
Yep, exactly. All of those, and then also many combined disabilities as well. So there might be people with physical disabilities as well as learning disability. And yeah, it's our job just to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to do what they enjoy and a chance to make and to get pleasure out of it, the same as you or I would.
All right. So I guess that kind of begs a question then. Like you said, there's a whole bunch of different like glassworks, pottery, woodworking, baking. You got kind of a pretty big umbrella. Is that so? How do individuals then choose what they do? They just give things a try and then, hey, I really like doing this, or this is easier for me, or whatever, and then just kind of move forward with that?
Yeah, well, when they originally apply to Garvald, a lot of the time they come directly from school. Sometimes they might have gone to college after school, or they might have had some time just kind of finding themselves. But there'll be an interview beforehand, and they're asked like, what interests you? What did you enjoy doing at school? We show them all the different options. There's sometimes a chance to give it a go and see if you like it. There's a chance to go around a tour of all the buildings. There's open days. Recently, we've been doing open days where you get a chance to have a shot at like different activities within each workshop. So that's a great opportunity for them to have a shot, but also for like the general public as well, for parents and carers of people that we've been supporting for decades. They can still come in and try stuff out.
When Nev put your name forward as a potential guest, I went onto your Instagram profile, or Garvald's Instagram profile there, and it was like, hey, this is really interesting, and kind of especially so for me because I had a brother with Down syndrome.
All right.
And he passed away, geez, 19 years ago now.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
But he was involved in kind of a similar program, not to the same extent, but kind of a similar program from kind of through high school, and then for 10, 12 years after high school that he graduated. And the connections that he made were just like phenomenal. When he passed away, my parents got something like 1,000 letters, like some crazy number of letters, who remember my brother through all his various interactions with the community because of these programs. And my brothers and I were talking about it afterwards. And it was like, well, we'll be lucky if our own kids show up to our funerals, let alone half of bloody North America. Anyway, yeah. So with the workshop in particular, there, you said that you have a range of things going on depending on skill but also on opportunity. Is it like a commissioned wood shop then? Like people can come in and say, hey, I want this built?
We take commissions. We try not to, because we feel it kind of puts undue pressure on our makers. If we ever do take a commission, it's telling the person who's commissioned it, it could take a while. It could take a while, because we've got a pretty clear policy of it's the individual's project. Like we as staff could like jump in and go, okay, well, I'll just kind of speed this up for you. But then that takes away from the members' work. It has to have the members. So yeah, just to clarify, like the people we support, we call them our members. They're like, we're all members of a team. So just a language point. So yeah, we kind of feel that like everything that should be done, that can be done by the member themselves, should be done by the member themselves. Because there's nothing more demotivating that if you're spending hours working away on something and then somebody comes in and goes, no, actually, I'll show you how it's done, and then does it in 5 minutes. They're just like, all right, well, why did I bother then? So it's very much our role is to find a way for the individuals to do what's needing to be done in a way that's as easy as possible for them, and encouraging them as they do it. So we do take on commissions, but most of the stuff that we do is to go to our shop. And we've got a shop that sells items from all the different workshops at Garvald. We recently opened that, well, I say recently, when was that? I wrote this down as well. I wrote it down on one of my many members of Beeper. So we opened this shop, and it's much bigger than our old shop. So it does mean that we can now make pieces of furniture and larger items. And yeah, I don't know if that answered your question. Sorry.
Yeah, no. So where does the bulk of the funding come from then? Because I mean, like as a business owner. Mm-hmm. It's hard to say, well, there's no way that you're pricing things for the amount of time and wages that it took to get that thing built. Mm-hmm. And if you are, great, if somebody's buying it, great. But I have a hard time believing that, like a cutting board, for example, you can go down to the shop and buy it for $50 or 50 pounds, whatever. Mm-hmm. Whereas when somebody takes, because of a disability, it takes them a day and a half or 3 days to make it. There's no way you're selling it for $4,000 just because of that, right?
No, we're not. So obviously we do get some income from the items that we sell, but each individual that comes to us, the social work department pays for their place because primarily we're a support organisation. And I don't know how much experience you have with like these support organisations. We are very proud of the service we provide. It's just a worthwhile place for somebody to spend their day. I have worked in other organisations where it was felt that going and sitting in a cafe in a shopping centre would be an appropriate use of your time. Like that, it just doesn't feel right. You're not contributing to society by going and having yet another cup of tea outside Marks and Spencer's. It's just not. it's not a valuable way to spend your time, and I feel that when members are coming to Garvald, they're actually working towards a common goal. So the members come with money from social work, so that pays all our wages, and then everything else kind of comes out of like sales at the shop. We get timber donated to us. Most of our tools are now donated to us as well. Whenever we've got big garages outside where we store our planked wood for seasoning. So whenever somebody's got a tree coming down or local parks doing a bit of forestry, they'll get in touch with us. And then all of a sudden we've got a massive pile of cherry to work with. It's great.
Do you have a sawmill on site for dealing with stuff like that?
Oh, I wish. No, whenever we used to plank our wood ourselves just on bandsaw, but if it's anything above a couple of logs, then we'll contact a sawmill. So normally a mobile sawmill will come by and we'll do that. But then we've also got a sister organisation who have just opened a sawmill, so we're hoping to team up with them as well.
That's if you'll pardon the aside here, I now know that you have a mental problem, because when I said, do you have a sawmill on site, you immediately said, oh, I wish.
We spend so long trying to get that side of the logistics sorted. And sometimes I just wish, you know what, if we could just do it ourselves, that would be great. But yeah. Like, well, because we're kind of inner city Edinburgh, we don't really have the space for a sawmill as well.
Yeah, so I was going to say, the reason I feel justified in saying you have a mental problem is because I used to have a sawmill, so I know that, and yeah, my family has had sawmills for a long time, and yeah. Anyway, it's surprising how cheap they are, really. Like for a little portable band sawmill, at least here, you're looking at you can find them for under $5,000, and so that's. It's incredible, really. But yeah, it's awesome that you have that kind of flow of materials coming in, especially this is a local tree from the local park. There's a whole story that can go along with all of the things. It's not just well, we imported this from the mill in China.
Oh yeah. It's really, really important to us. So Garvald's based on anthroposophy. So, do you know Rudolf Steiner?
No. It's kind of rings a bell, but not.
Okay, so I mean, I won't go into the Rudolf Steiner anthroposophy thing, but as a result, we're very aware of the connection to nature, and being able to see where the wood came from. Like, we've got wood that we're still using that is from Stockton Park just down the road, and we can point to the stump where the tree came down every time we go for a walk there. We go like for regular walks, and we can point at the stump and go, that's where the wood for your stool came from. And, it just really helps with that kind of thing. We're having that connection with nature is really, really important. We try to use hand tools wherever possible, because kind of that tactile thing of working the wood it just does something, that maybe using a power tool wouldn't necessarily do.
Yeah, I mean, you can absolutely slash your hand open with a hand tool, but there's something a lot less fear-inducing with a chisel or a saw versus a screaming router or tables.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, we have to be aware of like safety concerns in a workshop. At any one time, I've got 6 or 7 individuals working here, plus 2 other members of staff. So it can get busy, and kind of keeping an eye on what everyone's doing. Like I said before, we try to have everybody be as independent as they possibly can be. And I think a really valuable part of being in a workshop is to allow risk and is to trust people to be able to assess risk. I mean, we will also assess risk for them, but I've always said risk assessment is about finding a way for somebody to be able to do something rather than from stopping them from doing it. And like risk assessments are all over like social care, you know, like everything has to have a risk assessment, but it's to enable, not to prevent.
Yeah, when it's applied correctly.
Mm.
I've had conversations with parents around not wanting to get their child diagnosed with autism, for example, you know, like, oh, I don't want them to have a crutch. It's like, well, if your leg's broken, you need a crutch.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're using the crutch as an excuse to not do something, that's where the problem comes. But it's not the crutch's fault.
No, absolutely. Like an autism diagnosis would give you the tools that you need to be able to allow you to live life the best you can, right?
Yeah, and it helps other people understand, and that's why conversations like these are really important, because it helps other people understand that, well, they have autism. That means we can just modify how we're doing this rather than not do it.
Mm.
I don't know if you ever see on the social media, I forget the guy's name now, but I see him pop up on my feed every once in a while. He's a totally blind woodworker.
Mm-hmm.
And he's using power tools and everything, and it just scares the crap out of me. But like, you know, like you said, there's risk assessment is about figuring out a way to do something safely rather than seeing it.
Yeah.
And another one I saw the other day, you get those the reels coming from India of guys doing things like super sketchy sort of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's the same sort of thing. The guy lost his hands or his arms from something, whether it was birth or accident or something, but he's totally using his feet to run a hammer and chisel, carving out people can do this. Why are we so afraid of like you said, risk? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they might hurt themselves. They might.
Yeah. And
it's true.
That's like with the people that I'm working with, I think it's really important to, like I say, allow people to take risks and show trust in them, because a lot of people are surrounded by very well-meaning family and individuals who, you know, just want to do their best to protect them. You need to show trust in someone. And then if, like, there's so many times that I've said, okay, so you're going to do this. And then, like, the member's like, well, no, I can't do that. And I'm like, why not? Why can't you do that? And they're like, oh, no, well, I can't hold sharp things. I'm told I'm not supposed to hold sharp things because I might hurt myself. And I'm like, well, how are we going to do some woodwork if you can't hold sharp things? So it's about getting them to trust themselves and showing that I have every confidence in them. Because I do. And then after a while, like, they're doing things that their own families can't do. They're developing skills that, like, the rest of their circle of support are like, oh my God, can you believe what Johnny made? Like, at Garvald, that's incredible. Like, I could never do that. And then, like, just their individual's perception of themselves can change, and it can change their perceptions of others of them as well. Yeah, I mean, it can be really, really powerful. It can be something as simple as just coming in and seeing your pals, which is great. But then it also is coming in and actually developing yourself, you know.
Yeah, I had this conversation with Nev, and this is something that's been kind of in my background of my head for a while now. Over the last, 20, 40, 50 years, whatever it's been, there's just been this steady increase in mental health problems.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how much of that is, more diagnosis versus more problem, but I think there's at least some of it. I think is this kind of like this existential disempowerment from being able to do things anymore, because there's there's so many people that their entire job is sitting at a keyboard, and you have no physical product to hold at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's almost like you're, and I don't know, maybe like spell check and all of these Grammarly and all of these things that are just like dumbing down the process to the point of like it's that system that's telling you that you're incompetent.
Yeah.
And so then when you step back and you do something that has the risk of injury or has the risk of damage or failure,
Mm-hmm.
but then you come out with a product, even if it's imperfect, you still go that, oh my goodness, look what I made, and everybody goes, oh, look what you made, and the empowerment that comes along with that.
Yep.
I don't know if you see that a lot with your members, or
Oh yeah, 100%. And it can take years to make one item. And then, like, I'm sure at some point along the way, they kind of forget what they're making because it takes so long. So we kind of have to go over it and remind each other of the steps. And do you remember when you did this? And we take lots of photos and we look over it. But yeah, the real sense of accomplishment of having made something, and then also of being able to see it in the shop. Like we send it up to Garvald makers and they sell it. Sometimes they'll get the story from the person who bought it. So they're saying, oh, we've been in, we've seen this bench 4 times since we keep coming, and we keep kind of thinking we're going to maybe buy it, and now we've bought it, and now it's going to travel down to England with us or whatever, and we get a photo, we show the maker, and then there's like a real circle moment of like a bit of achievement at every single step of the way. And that's the thing with woodwork as well, is that it's not just one task. Generally, you've got a series of different tasks. Then, like, if you do this bit, you've selected the wood. Yes, brilliant. And now you've cut the wood to size. Brilliant, well done. And each individual thing can be a moment for celebration and a moment for just kind of checking in with yourself, going, yeah, I am a woodworker. This is good. And you can go home to your family or to your home support and say, I did some spoke shaving today. And then the people at home are quite often, what's a spoke shave? So, and then you've got to explain, oh, well, it's this tool with a blade. And being able to be the expert in that situation for the people I'm supporting, for them to be the expert is pretty important. It's a big thing for a lot of people because they're in no other realm of their life are they the expert. There's always going to be someone that knows more than them about how to make a cup of tea or what to get for shopping. And then to be able to be like in charge is key, isn't it?
Yeah, I would have never thought of that actually, but it's almost like in every other aspect of their life, they're less than.
Mm-hmm.
But in this instance, now they know more than, and that gives you a sense of confidence in yourself, which recognition of yes, I have this problem or this disability, but it's not stopping me from growth and from achieving what I want to achieve anyway. Exactly.
And then, like, so many people are like, they've got family going, oh, I wish I could do this every day. And so they're like going, see, I've got a job that you want, which is pretty good.
I'm curious about that actually in a broader perspective. These people who, well, I wish I could do that every day. Well, why don't you? What's stopping you? Do you need a disability so you can do this?
Yeah. I personally, I don't think I would have the confidence to set up my own business and have a woodworking workshop. I mean, it would take away most of what I love about the job as well, which is like being around people. But yeah, I think having the safety of a regular income is, for me, it's definitely a bonus.
Well, and I think that that's a really important thing to recognize, especially with people. People say, "Well, I wish I could do that," but most people only see the highlight reel of what you're doing, right?
Mm.
Like they see you getting to hang out at the wood shop and play with hand tools all day long and not have a timeline on any project you're completing.
Mm-hmm.
But don't actually realize that, well, there's a lot of back end work along with that and a lot of mental burden that goes along with it and all of that type of stuff. But my personal addiction is woodworking. But I have when I work at it as a hobbyist, it's a lot more enjoyable than the times that I've done production work.
Yeah.
Every time I get a production order for something, I'm like, I shouldn't have done this. I just ruins it for me. But
Yeah.
anyway, so that's how can you describe the typical arc of a member, like a new member to a I am now a woodworker? Like what is their mental health follow in that? Is there like a steady improvement, or does it go up and down, or does it not change?
It's a difficult question to answer because, like, I mean, everyone's different, right? And let me think. So generally, when somebody new comes in, there's a bit of anxiety because it's a new space, new routines, fitting into everybody else's routines as well. Routine is very big at Garvald. We have our tea break at exactly the same time every day, no matter what workshop you're in. And so, yeah, anxiety coming in, and then if that unclear about what project you're going to do. And then for us, it's kind of getting to know each other and how best do I support you? And they're like a lot of the time very keen and eager to show that they can, but then maybe they can't yet. So it's about that conversation about how to usually start off with a very simple project, but then they might already have their eye on what Joe Bloggs is doing in the corner and saying, actually, I really want to make a big stool like that. And you're like, well, okay, let's just roll it. Let's work our way up to that. Yeah, it's from our point, it's just offering a lot of reassurance and a lot of guidance and try not to bombard with information. Because I always feel that I need to, right, we're going to do it like this because we need to do it like this because, but sometimes that's too much. And the people that we support need limited choice, fewer words, concise, clarity. So again, it's just about getting to know the individual. But I would say that very quickly, just the general vibe of the workshop will kind of carry the individual along. And then before you know it, they're kind of settled and you know what you're going to expect from them and likewise them from you.
So how do your members begin to choose a project? Like, is that just like, is it a skills-based thing, or is it kind of a combination of you saying, well, maybe a Bombay chest of drawers isn't the first project you should start on?
Yeah, so I quite like to look at projects relating to basically the tasks involved in making that project. So if you know an individual is a big fan of sanding and drilling, tea light holder, fine. And then they can be involved in every aspect of the design of it. They can choose the wood. Again, because of our connection to the material and everything, the wood quite often kind of leads us down certain routes in terms of the design. We've also got some individuals who, they will basically try everything. Okay, yeah, I'll have a shot at wood turning. And they're like, okay, do some wood turning, that's great. They'll kind of have a look online and see what projects there are online, or just think about what things are made of wood in their life. It's as simple as that. I've got one person that I support and she was dead set on making a wardrobe. And we were like, really? We don't have a lot of space in this wee workshop. Wardrobe's going to be a bit tricky and it's going to take up, like, use a lot of material. There might not be the space in the shop for it. So we went to a local furniture shop. We had a look at wardrobes. We kind of decided on a much smaller kind of timber frame, kind of open wardrobe kind of thing with shelves. So she's almost finished making that, and that's actually going to go into an exhibition later this year. And so it was about kind of finding a compromise for that. So it was still very much, no, I'm going to make a wardrobe. And no matter what we said, she was like, I'm going to make a wardrobe. I'm going to make a wardrobe. We're like, okay, well, it's your project. We have to do that. But let's find a way for it to be achievable. I think
So
it's
that
worked
kind
out
of
well. Sorry?
that kind of highlights the whole process right there, right?
Mhm.
Like comes with this goal,
Mhm.
but there's also like on both sides of it, you don't actually know what that looks like. Like on one side, it could be like, well, wardrobe, here's the gateway to Narnia. It has to be
Yeah.
huge and fancy. And on the other hand, you know, well, it could be just like a stand with a hanger on it or whatever, right? Like,
Mhm.
and so then finding the workaround to achieve the goal within the confines of your ability and availability of material and the whole nine yards kind of highlights that whole learning process of overcoming a disability.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then, like, within the process of making it as well, is like, okay, how do we design it in a way that she can do all of it? So it's okay, so we'll do tenon and mortises because we know that she can use the mortiser independently. We'll cut the tenons using the fixed miter saw because we can put a stop on it. She's not going to cut through the tenons. We're going to palm sand it all together because we know she doesn't like hand sanding. And like all these little aspects of it, like I was saying before, it's like all the little steps that all come together to make one big thing. And it's about when you start the project, being able to see them very vaguely ahead of you. we don't set out like proper drafts of what the stages are going to be because it always changes, doesn't it? So we just kind of develop. We have for this project, because we needed to know how much timber we needed and everything, we were like, okay, well, put out what dimensions it's going to be. But apart from that, we've just been making it up as we go along. And it means that she's been able to be involved at each step of the process as well.
So did you have any experiences? You said you've been in the timber workshop for 5 years, 10 years now?
So I've been full-time workshop leader for 10. I've been in the workshop for 14.
Okay. So you've been there a good chunk of time now then. Are there any experiences that you had that stand out as like, here's somebody who came in feeling completely disempowered. Now they're like, you know, on top of the world sort of situation?
Well, one example would be a young man who, when he came to us, he was not very confident. He's not hugely productive. Like, he takes a lot of breaks, but he is very clear about what he's interested in. One of his special interests is jaws and sharks. And we were doing an exhibition, and it was like all of Garvald. So all the different arts and crafts shops were contributing to this exhibition. And this exhibition, the theme of it was called Creature Collective, and it was animals. So he carved a boat. So a boat with a sail, and he had to make it like a Jaws boat, the boat from the film, and with a little Jaws fin next to it. And it was this beautiful sculpture. And it was the first time he'd ever done anything like that. He'd never done it before. And he also really, really enjoyed the process of it, the carving, and like the real, like the muscle involved and like just chiseling it out. And when it came to the actual exhibition, we went to the exhibition opening, and I was chatting to him and his parents about it. And then two complete strangers came up and like kind of interrupted our conversation and stopped and spoke to him and said, "Excuse me, are you the artist?" And he was like, "Yeah." He was just, and they just stood there for 5 minutes telling him how amazing his work was and speaking to the parents, "You must be so proud." And after that conversation finished, this individual's mum turned to me. She was like, "That was incredible." Like when he was at school, he was told he wouldn't be able to do anything. He was told, like, and I mean, really, really upsetting to hear that a school would be able to, the feedback from a school would be like, no, he's a lost cause, which is, yeah, that's not on. But ever since then, he's had a confidence in his own ideas now. Like he does these amazing illustrations and cartoons. Whenever we've got some time to like do some design work, he'll always draw these like crazy cartoons and stuff. So we're working with him to try and find a way that we can translate those into a wood project. He's made some like platters with sharks that dancing sharks, and there were shark cops, and he actually donated the shark cops one to the local police station. So now they've got it hanging on their wall, and we were able to, because that's another special interest is the police. So being able to take a trip to the police station to see it in place and like try on the policeman's hat and stuff. It was really, really special for him. So being able to take his interests and make them relevant to what we're doing rather than trying to shoehorn what we're doing into his life.
Yeah, I think that's the whole thing about, I don't know what the conversation is like in the UK, but the term neurodivergence, people who are neurodiverse, the term kind of bothers me. Mm-hmm. Because it's just a way of saying what we always said with a different word that maybe doesn't sound quite as mean. I told you, I kind of tell this story. I'll tell this story with the caveat of these are my brother's words, and I'm not trying to be mean or judgmental in any way, shape, or form. So my brother with Down syndrome, when here in Canada, when they did a transition from mentally retarded to handicap, right? He was absolutely infuriated. He was just furious at the fact that people would call him handicap because he was a retard, not a handicap, right? And I've thought about that a lot ever since, that it doesn't matter what word you use, whether you use retard, handicap, neurodiverse. If you are saying you have this thing, therefore you can't do this other thing, it's the same thing. It's a disempowering, oppressive, whatever word you want to use. But then kind of when you're telling your story about the people asking, "Are you the artist?" That's such an empowering thing to have experienced for him, because if somebody who takes a banana and tapes a banana to the wall can be an artist and make thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars, somebody who creates sharks and all their variations, whether somebody else thinks it's weird or wonderful or whatever, is irrelevant. You are an artist. You are empowered. You have skill that other people do not have.
Yeah, and it's our job to support them to explore that and to show it as well. The fact that we had this exhibition gave him a chance to, I can do this. I don't think it would have occurred to him to make a shark sculpture otherwise. He would just talk about sharks. You're like, you can use this. You can take your interest in sharks and make something out of wood that is also about your interest in sharks. All right, okay, maybe I'll do that. And it's just about kind of opening doors for people.
Yeah. So it's kind of in conclusion and wrapping up our conversation here. Going back, you said you moved from Glasgow to Edinburgh to do a Master's of Art, you said?
Bachelor's.
Bachelor's of Art. Okay.
Yeah.
What was your goal when you did that? Like you're going to school to get your Bachelor's of Art. What did you envision yourself doing at that point?
Well, do you know, it's funny because I left school knowing that I needed to do art of some, I needed to make stuff. And the reason I went to Edinburgh College of Art is because they've got a performance costume unit, a course in performance costumes. So I saw myself being a costume designer and working in theatre. And we had the talk at the beginning because the first year is a foundation year where you get to try out a few different things. And I tried out the 3 design things I did were glass, animation, and furniture. And you also did painting, sculpture, and tapestry. And I just fell into sculpture because sculpture, you could basically do whatever you like. You weren't limited in terms of materials or ideas. And at the time, I was just ideas. So I was making things out of, I was in the workshop all the time. I was making stuff out of wood. I was making stuff out of metal. I was making stuff out of plaster, stone. And so, yeah, that was my kind of, my introduction into making ideas into a 3D form, which is why eventually coming in here is kind of my place, you know, because I can do that.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Is so you discovered the itch, and then you discovered a way to scratch the itch forever, then, and help people at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. So when I graduated from art school, I was like, I don't want to be an artist. I can't sell myself. I can't rely on other people liking what I've made. That's not for me. But I did kind of feel that I needed to help people do that. So initially I thought we had a really cool guy in our art school who was the workshop technician. And all these crazy art students would go down to him going, I want to make this. And he would say, okay, well, let's see. I'll cut this piece of wood for you. You do this. I was like, I want his job. I want his job. I can do that. But he wasn't going anywhere, so that wasn't going to happen. So went down another route and started supporting adults with learning disabilities for close to 10 years, just supported living, you know, doing night shifts, sleepover shifts, but really enjoying being around people, and especially adults with learning disabilities. It's really fulfilling. Like, you get a lot of wins in a day. And then, yeah, I found out about this job, and I'd say to everyone, it's like, it's the job I would have dreamt of had I known it existed. Unless you're within the social care world, you don't really know about it. So yeah, it's great.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate your time and sharing your experience and the experience of the people that you work with. Yeah. Any concluding thoughts, like things you need to, I know you said you had to get the approval of the management to come on. Is there anything that they specifically wanted you to talk about, you know, promote our upcoming exhibition, or make sure you come and donate some money to help us keep going, sort of stuff?
Do you know
Anything like
what?
that?
If people want to go onto the Garvald Edinburgh, garvaldedinburgh.org, you can find links for donating. You can also find out more about the organisation and all the different workshops that we provide. And search for Garvald Edinburgh on Instagram. Most of our workshops have got their own Instagram handle, so you can see what's happening across the whole organisation. Yeah, just generally, just be nice to people, please.
We definitely need more of that in the world. That's for sure. Just be nice. Don't be rude, and don't assume that the other person is your enemy. Okay, well, thank you very much again for coming on. Let's head over to the after show.
Great.
Just want to say thank you to the founding fathers of the Workshop Therapy Podcast, Mr. Matthew from Arciano Serio, Brad of Brad's Customs, Keith Drennan of Blackthorn Concepts, and Eric of Overall Makerworks, and Brandon Millichamp of Tectonic Creations. If you want to help support the podcast, please head on over to Patreon and support at any tier you choose. The support really means the world to me, and it helps the podcast keep growing, bringing on more and exciting new guests. thank you again for your support.